in here, so we'll go ahead and get started. Let's talk about how we're going to generate leads and spark your business. So today we're going to talk about the lead generator. What is the lead generation model? Your sphere of influence. How do you expand on your sphere of influence? And then lead generation best practices. And then later on, we're going to talk about building your database and what does that look like. So Gary Keller says, my fear of failure was greater than my fear of lead generating. And I really like this quote because I feel like there is a lot of fear about lead generating. Now, I've talked to you a lot. You don't have that big of a fear about lead generation, but some people do. As long as you keep that momentum going where you're constantly talking and asking for business, don't let no's discourage you. You'll have a big business because lead generating is our number one job. So back to our 6 core competencies, when we first started this, we talked about the 6 core competencies of a business, and lead generation is number one. It is our number one job. It will never end. If an agent comes to me and says, oh, I'm struggling in the business, I don't have any deals happening, then I would say, okay, how many leads do you have? And if they said, I have anywhere less than 200 leads, then I would say, okay, you have a lead problem. You need more leads, right? I mean, even if you had 200 leads, that's a really good business. You could close 12 deals in the next 12 months every year on a regular basis if you have 200 people in your database. So I would say lead generation seems tricky. It seems scary, and it seems like a bigger deal than it is, but it's actually very, very simple. And there's a saying, and it's a bold law: success is simple, it's not easy. So lead generation isn't easy by any means. It's all going to take some sort of effort, but it is very simple. And so we'll talk today about how simple it is. Some of the fears and the myths that you may have heard, or you may be feeling, is that lead generation is really difficult. Like I said, it's not easy. No work is easy. I mean, if it was easy, then everybody would do it. But you have to work to make money. That's how I think about it, is I have to work to make money. And I've done a lot of things to make money. I've cleaned bathrooms. I've cleaned in people's houses. I've cooked food. I've shoveled stuff I don't want to talk about. I've done physical labor. There's so many other ways to make money. And if you're telling me that I can sit in a nice air-conditioned, chilled office and talk to people that I love about a business I'm passionate about, and I can make a lot of money doing that, I really just don't feel like that's hard work. I feel like that's beautiful, right? And so I think sometimes it's about our mindset when we step into this. And maybe you've never had a sales job before, or maybe you've never owned a business before, and lead generation is very new to you or foreign, and you may think that it's really difficult. Suspend that thought for a moment and think about how simple it is. It's just conversations with people about them and whether or not they're ready to buy and sell real estate. It's very, very simple. I don't have time to lead generate. Well, this actually comes up a lot. So not having time to lead generate comes up more than you think. And it's not something that we talk to people about. I don't think anybody would go out to me, their coach, and say, Amy, I just don't have time to go lead generate in my business. But here's where this does show up. It shows up in our mindset when we look at our day and we say, oh, I was supposed to do my success stuff. That's right. Amy told me I was supposed to do 2 hours of success stuff today. And I just don't know where I'm going to fit that in, because I've got all these other things that I need to do, and I just don't know where I'm going to fit that in. So I'm just not going to be able to get that done today. And it's not that I don't want to, it's just I just can't. And here's the thing. If you tell yourself you can, or you tell yourself you can't, you're 100% right. And so I would say that if you think you don't have time to lead generate, you have to really look at your schedule and look at your bank account. And then if your bank account is so large that you can pay your bills without having to get any new sales, then I would say, yeah, you probably don't have time or don't need to lead generate. But if your bank account is not something that you can live off of for the rest of your life, I would say lead generating is probably in your best interest, because that's a direct correlation between whether or not you're going to have business, is whether or not you lead generate. I don't know what to say. 100%. Absolutely. I get that. We don't always know what to say. That's what your script books are for. Ignite, the toolkit that we've provided, your 30, 60, 90 spreadsheet, all these things have a link to the Ignite toolkit. And in there is a script practice. There's a script folder, and it has tons of scripts. Even if you don't repeat them like a mantra, just reading them one time can really help you understand, oh, okay, that's what I would say. It'll give you a concept that you can tap into later. So just peruse those. If you want to know what does a listing presentation sound like, you can go in and read the listing presentation script, and that will show you a listing presentation, the script, and then the common objectives. If you read through those, you'll understand what are sellers concerned about, what are they looking for. So I think it's important for that. I watch a lot of YouTube videos of what other people say. So I don't come up with my great comebacks, and everything that I say is something that I've learned from someone else. I wish that I was that smart and original, but I'm not. And so I spend a lot of time learning to this very day. This morning I was learning about, I'm taking a class, and this morning I was watching a video on the class of that subject. It takes 15 minutes and I learn a lot. So I would say go on YouTube and look up, what do people say? How do people call? If you want to go after for sale by owners, then look up scripts of what people say to for sale by owners and listen to those. And you're going to get a wide variety of people, and some of it you're going to like and some of it you're not. Mold it together on what sounds right for you, and then try it out there. The best conversations I've ever had were unscripted. I'll just say that. They're unscripted. They come from a place of me being very curious about the other person and their situation and the way they think. And that's one thing that I accredit to my early mentor. I had a mentor when I was early in the business, about 2 years in. And he told me, you have to stop talking so much. You talk so much. He said, you need to stop talking and stop telling, because that's not selling. You need to ask more questions. And the more questions you ask, the easier it will be for you to sell them at the end. And we used to play a game where we just asked each other questions, and we had to answer a question with a question. And it was a great game because it helped expand my ability to ask questions about subjects and go deeper with people. So honestly, I don't follow a script now. Now I ask a lot of discovery questions to find out, is this even something that they need to be doing? And that kind of takes the pressure off of me to be the one with all the answers, and for me to be the one that knows what to say. Does that make sense? So the questions that I ask are actually in your Ignite toolkit. So there's a seller questionnaire, a pre-listing questionnaire, and there's a buyer lead sheet. Those have amazing questions that you need to ask your buyers and your sellers. And you're going to read it and you're going to think, Amy, these questions are not rocket science. Amy, these questions are not like out of the box. That's right. They're not. They're just simple questions, but they're questions that need to be answered. And a lot of people assume the answers to these questions. It's better for you to go through and ask, because you'll get a very clear picture.
Amy.
Yes.
What's sellers questions, and what was the other one? Questions?
It's the buyer lead sheet.
Oh, I see.
The pre-listing questionnaire.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then finally, man, this one is big. I think I think this one holds a lot of people back. I'm afraid to make mistakes. I'm afraid to say the wrong thing. What if I turn them off? What if I say something crazy? And I'll go back to what I said before, but about asking questions. If you get into the mode of asking questions about other people, you can't say anything crazy, because you're just so busy they're so busy talking about them that you don't say anything at all. So when I'm actually a social person. I'm just really social when it comes to people I already know. And when I already know people, I'm like a little butterfly. But when I'm in a new area or a new space, I really shut down. And I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is a fantastic book. All of you need to write it down, read the book. It's very short, it's quick. You could get done with it in a day. It's all about how other people connect and how do you build relationships with others. And the point of it all is that other people's favorite subject is themselves. So have you ever met someone and all they do is talk about themselves? When you left that conversation with them, how did you feel about them?
Yeah.
If all someone does is talk about themselves, the general consensus is that that person is self-centered and they don't have any concern for me. And most of the time we leave. We might like them. We might be like, oh, that person's funny and they had such funny stories and they're actually really great and wonderful and I love them. But deep down, did we form a deep connection with them? No, not necessarily. Connection is formed through us sharing and being vulnerable. And I'm telling you this because you guys, this is how I close deals. Because from the moment that I start talking to people, I'm trying to get on the level where they feel that I care about them. Because people only are wondering 3 things when you go to sell. When they go to list or sell or work with you, heck, when you go and get your tire changed with a company, you're looking for 3 things. Do they care about me? Do they care about me? Can I trust them? And can they help me? If you walked into a store, right, and you wanted to purchase something and they were rude to you and you didn't feel like they cared about you, you would probably walk out, right? And they could have everything you need, but man, somebody's rude to me, I'm out. I'm not buying from that store. I'll go across. It's okay. Sorry, hold on. If someone's rude to me, I mean, I'll drive across town to go get it somewhere else. Okay. So ask a lot of questions. And the reason that this is coming up when I talk about making mistakes is that when I first got into this business, my life was not perfect. I wound up going through a breakup about 6 months after I had a baby. I was feeling very like my life is a mess. I had to move into a 1-bedroom apartment. I was winning awards, but I had all this debt and just all this stuff happened. And like my caddy was getting repoed. Like I bought a Cadillac like a dummy. And so I'm having a terrible time in life, but I'm still selling real estate, right? The last thing I want to do is talk about my life. Like I was so scared to call people and do care calls because I'm like, oh my God, what if they ask me how I'm doing? Or what if they want to talk about my life right now? This is tragic and terrible, right? Well, 5 years, I'm out, right? That was a long time ago, but I felt that. I was like, I don't want to talk about me. I don't know what to say. And what if I say something and it starts this whole thing? What if they find out that I'm going through all this crap? Anyways, I had all of these feelings and all of these myths were getting in my way. My business tanked because I was going through stuff and all of these things came up in my head and my business tanked. And luckily I had a coach at the time, so I dug myself out of this. And one of the books I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And one of the things I talked to my coach about was, how do I get around talking about myself? And she said, you just don't ever talk about yourself. You talk about them. And so with help from my mentor and my coach, I learned to just ask a ton of questions about other people. And when they tell me, and I say, hey, what do you do for fun? And they're like, oh, I go hiking. I'm like, cool. Tell me more about that. Where do you go hiking? And I just keep going and going down that path. And by the time I know a ton about people and we're friends, they feel like they get to know me. So when you're lead generating, now this is just about lead generating. A way to get out of saying things you don't know is to ask a lot of questions. If somebody says to you, if somebody says to you, I think the housing market is going to crash, what do you think? You should say, oh, why do you think that? See how I can turn that around on a question and get them talking again? I don't have to answer that question. I don't have to answer that question at all. How's the market? Oh, are you thinking about buying or are you thinking about selling? Great. Where are you looking to buy? I completely shift away from the question that they're asking me and I just move on to like back to them, right? Asking questions about them. So it could be really helpful, especially when you get put in a pinch. Okay, so let's go back to this. So the person in the center it could be you. It could be, let's just say it's you. The person in the center is you. And the first ring around you, they're very close. So who do you think this would be? You can even shout out who it would be to you. Who would be your first inner circle of people?
Family and friends.
People that are close to you, right? People that know you, trust you. Like you probably call them when you need help. They call you when they need help. You're there for the big events. You're there for the small events, maybe even, right? Really close people. And then outside that circle, outside of them, what do you think those people are?
Close friends.
Associates, people who know you.
People who know you.
Colleagues.
Friends of friends.
What about people that know them and know you? Or what about people that just know them? So I think sometimes we think of our sphere. You guys are on the right track. I mean, 100%. When you look at this, you think about that person, me, sitting in the center, and all of these people surrounding me are mine. They're my sphere. And you go circles out like that. I think about my sphere as this entire light gray circle around me. That's everybody I know. Whether or not, if I've met you one time, I put you in that light gray circle. You're in my sphere now. I met you one time where we know each other. So then the people in the light blue sphere right outside of that light gray sphere, those are the people that you know. That's how big the opportunity with lead generation is that when you have your sphere, all of those people that you talk to, say that you've got 200 people in your sphere, and all of those people that you talk to, it's not just about talking to them about real estate or having them send you business. It's about who do they know? And then when you get to know those people, it's now those people come into your center and it's who do they know? And your sphere just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I also look at this and I think about who around me do I do business with that could also refer me business? So who around me? So I would look at this in a personal way and I would be like, all right, who's my inner circle? And then who do they know that we know? Or how do we know each other together, right? Or who do they know that I need to know? Okay, an example of this is I had a friend that I helped her mom sell a house and then she was going to buy a house, but she works for the state. And I know that state workers get a discount on interest rates and there's like all these incentives for state workers and civil servants. And so I reached out to her and I said, we should go out to lunch. And she's like, all right, cool. And I said, and you should bring a couple people from your office. And she was like, okay, I can do that. So that's an example of me saying, hey, I know you and you're in my sphere and I get business from you, but who else do you know? How can you introduce me to more people? And that actually worked. I wound up not selling anything to those people, but those people went back to the office and talked about the lunch. And then I wound up getting other business through it as well. I took chocolates to her too one time because she was having a hard day. So I took chocolates to the state building and like dropped them off. And if you know the state, there's like, it's shut down. You cannot get into the building. So they had to call down somebody and it was a whole to do. And that really set something off in that building too, is because they were like, who did that? And she's like, it's my realtor. I was like, thank you. So little things like that, can help you expand. But also, who do you do business with? So your dentist, everything. Like think about everybody, like your dentist, your doctor, the nurse, the person that, you see at the gas station all the time. You go to the same liquor store all the time. Gardener, mechanic. Like, do you have a whole plethora of people that run businesses that you can refer business to and they can refer business to you too? So I like to approach them in that way. And sometimes when I'm calling my sphere, I'm like, hey, what do you do for business? If I don't know what they do for a living, and if there's a way for me to give them business, I will start that referral relationship and I'll say, hey man, if I could give you a referral, what does that look like? What do you want me to send you? And they'll tell you, they'll be so excited. They're like, oh my God, I would love a referral. Yes, send me this, right? And then you can say, okay, cool, awesome. By the way, I also love referrals. So if you know anybody that's looking for real estate, send them my way. So your sphere is not just the people that are right around you. It's everyone that you've ever known. Everyone that you've ever known. If you have met face to face, that holds so much water with other people in this grand scheme of life. It really does. I know this because I was so afraid to call people that I went to high school with because I left high school a little bit early and I just hadn't talked to them in 10 years and it was really weird. But I learned through that process that the fact that we went to high school together was enough for them to be like totally okay with me calling them, totally okay with me having a conversation and talking with them and telling them what's going on with me and updating on what's going on with them and opening that relationship. Why? Because we had a physical meeting. They say statistically, people that you have met, if they have met with you, you have a 75% chance that they're going to only work with you. That's a very high percentage. So I like to work with people I have met, and I like to meet people. If I am going to work with a lead and I haven't met with them yet, I get them to meet with me. Once they've met with me though, they're in my sphere. Even if they don't do business with me, they're now in my sphere and I'm going to start getting business from their sphere. Yeah, Parm beer.
How do you like say, like, you know how you said you went on lunch with them? How do you even spark the conversation with them though?
Spark what conversation?
Like say like, oh, I'm a realtor, or like what ways you could help them, or do you not even spark that conversation? It just happens naturally.
It usually just happens naturally, but one question that I like to ask is, well, all of them worked for the state. So I just brought up, hey, how do you guys like working for the state? How long have you worked for the state? How long have you worked for the state? And they all started talking and then I was like, yeah, that's a really cool job. And then they'll ask me. It's like a natural thing. There's a law of reciprocity and it's a human thing. It's like when somebody buys you a drink at the bar. You're usually like, next one's on me. Like we have this whole thing of like, or we're like, no, don't buy me a drink because we know we're going to need to reciprocate. And if we can't reciprocate, we feel really bad. So most of the time when you talk to people about what they do for a living, they're going to ask you what you do for a living. If they don't, like if they never bring it up, then I bring it up. So if we're talking about what they do for a living, I would find some way to be like, oh, that's really cool. I just sell real estate. That's what I do. And usually that sparks something. Real estate's actually a hot topic, something people like to talk about. So I don't ever have a problem bringing it up, I guess you would say. Good question, though. Very good.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So like, real estate is a hot topic, but a lot of people already know people that are like realtors.
Mhm.
So like you being like, say now you said we had our superior, right? And you said you're friends of friends. How do you convince a friend of a friend to use you if you're such a far relationship?
I don't convince anybody of anything. So I think that's key, is that there's no way for me to convince somebody to use me. Here's what I can do though. When I meet with them, I can set a really, really good impression and I can get their contact information and market to them. And we'll talk about how to do that. But buyers want to see properties and sellers want to know how much their home is worth. Realtors get business because they follow up, not just because of their relationship. If I'm following up and I'm giving them the information they need, then usually I can get that business, regardless of any relationship they have with someone else. If they flat out told me I have a realtor, then I would be like, oh, okay, great. Well, I'll keep you in my database. And if anything ever changes, but I would never be able to convince them to work with me instead. And I wouldn't want to. But it's more about the relationship. If they already have a relationship established, then that's great. Then I just kind of want to move on to the next. And you're going to get that. There are a lot of real estate agents out there. I think what sets me apart is that I read the stats. I know what I'm doing. I pay attention to the market. I have up-to-date information. I'm in the market, like working in the market. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I spend time learning about this and I have a lot of education around it. But there's really nothing that's that different, right? There's really nothing that's that different. They're just choosing to work with me if they like me more or not. So my in is that I get their contact information, I put them in my database, and then I'm marketing to them in their face. It gives me more up at bats with them. It gets me in their mind. But yeah, I've lost people to other relationships. You know, it's going to happen. Hope that helped. Okay, so let's talk about how do we turn this business into, what is the opportunity that we have, right? What does that actually look like in dollars and cents? And then how do we turn our business into something that's repeatable? Because the issue with this business is that a lot of people get into it and they feel like it's this, and they work really hard and lead generate, and they get a deal. And then they only focus on that deal. And then the deal falls apart or it closes and they're all happy. And then they're down at square one and they got to lead generate. So what Keller Williams has done is studied all of this and put together a comprehensive training and plan that says, you don't have to ride that roller coaster. You can own a business that is commission only, and it can be predictable. The only thing that's actually going like this are the agents. The real estate industry goes like this. I just taught a class the other day on trends. You guys were in there. We went over 15 years. 15 years of real estate trends. And what did you guys see? Pendings and solds were in almost a straight line. It was like this, barely changing over the course of 15 years. 15 years, and every year it's just barely changing. Well, that means that the real estate industry is very stable. Buying real estate is one of the best investments that you can make. It's the easiest investment vehicle to get into. There's just so many reasons why real estate is a very stable business. However, there is this myth out there that being a real estate agent is not stable. But I beg to differ. It's been the most stable job I've ever had. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was like, I don't know if I've told you guys about what I was like before real estate, but like I bounced around from job to job to job. Like I could not find my place. I got into real estate and I've been in nine years. Like that's crazy, right? So, and I'm a single mom with 2 kids. So it had to be stable for me. Okay. So how do you make this stable? Something that you can, plan a future on and raise kids and do all the things you want to do, right? Retire one day. It's all about the number of contacts you have in your database and the communication that you're having with them. That's it. In fact, the total number of closes that you have is more determined about the amount of phone calls that you make per day versus the amount of yeses that you get. So it's like you think, oh, I got to go out and I got to find a ton of people that want to buy right now. But that's actually that's a small portion. The multitude of people that are coming, the amount of people that you can get at an open house on the weekend are like 10. But if your phone probably has hundreds of people in it that are just sitting there waiting. And the odds of them buying and selling real estate are low, but the odds of them and the people that they know buying and selling real estate are 6%. So that means that out of everybody in your database, 6%, either them or someone they know and refer to you, are going to buy and sell real estate in the next 12 months. I say 6% because that's the number I was taught when I started. And that's the number I've calculated my whole business on. Now, here's the deal. They actually said it's higher now, and they're telling us to calculate it at 8%. I don't like that because I'm like, be conservative, right? But that, to me, when I heard that, I was like, oh, well, that means that the opportunity is even more important. And then on top of that, that's just the 8% of people that are going to do business. On top of that 8% that you get, right? So say that you've got 250 in your database. in your phone or whatever database you're using. So 8%, 0.81 are going to do business. So that's 20 deals. 20 deals. I want you to times 20 by $10,000. A lot of money. It's a good life. So you close on those 20. So every single person that I close on throughout the transaction, I am asking them, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? You happy with your service? Okay, good. So do you know anybody else that would love to receive service like this? If you know anybody looking to buy and sell, I would love to help them. Every time they're like, yes, Amy, of course, we're so happy right now. You'll notice that I only do it at the happy times. So if they're happy and they're like, Amy, we're so happy, I'm like, that's awesome. Who else do you know that wants to be happy? And then they say, oh, we'll totally refer to you. Okay, so if you do that with every single client, you're going to get referrals from that. And they're speculating that you're going to get another 25 referrals from that. Now, here's where that comes into play, because I don't want to like, you're like, where am I getting this 25 referrals out of 20 people? So for each person that you close, say that it's a listing. That listing is an opportunity. You could be getting another listing and 2 buyers out of every listing. And the reason I tell you this is that this is something that I didn't pay attention to in the beginning. I would get a listing and I'd be so excited that I got that listing and I closed it that I would completely forget to use that listing to get more business. So now I use listings and buyers. You guys can go on my Facebook. I just had a listing go pending. And what do you see? You see me bragging about it. You see me posting about it. Just went pending, $35,000 over asking price. If you're looking to sell your home, you need to call me. Well, that gets me more business. That gets people interested in listing with me, right? So there's marketing that's done on your listings, but buyers as well. Every time I get a buyer into contract, I'm bragging about getting a buyer into contract because I'm showing people my evidence of success. Through that, that helps me get more business from the business I'm already receiving. So out of a 250 person database, you have the opportunity to build something that could close 45 deals a year. That's a $10,000 a deal. That's a low commission average. This is 100% possible. We have agents that have done it. But what does it really take? So your database, oh, let me go back. Let me go back here. Okay, so you got 250 people. So let's do some more math. Let me get my calculator out. You're probably like, Amy, okay, cool. 250 people. How am I supposed to get these 45 deals? So I've got 250 people. Let's say they're evenly broken up into people that want to sell that own their home and could probably sell, and then people that want to buy. I would put everybody who wants to sell their home, I would be telling them what their home is worth. Even if they don't want to sell their home, every person that owns their home, I would be telling them what their home is worth. We're going to talk about this when I go into the database, because I'm going to do that next after we talk about this. We're going to talk about your database and what that actually looks like. But every single person that owns a home, their address in my database, they're getting a monthly or biweekly neighborhood nurture, meaning that I'm telling them what's going on in their real estate world. Anybody that doesn't own a home that's looking to buy, I would be sending them properties from wherever they want to live. And I would say, I can look at properties anywhere in the United States. Where do you want to live? What's your dream place? Kentucky. Awesome. Where do you want to live in Kentucky? Why? Why are you moving to Kentucky? Okay, cool. So I'm going to start sending you properties in Kentucky. Why not, right? Through this process, what's going to happen is that you're going to be popping up. Look, I have a card right here. I'm going to show you. It's like Amy's face pops up every time they get an email. It's my face. Every time. Amy just sent you another property. Amy just sent you another property. Here's an update on your property. Here's an update on your neighborhood. After a while, when they think of real estate, they think of me. Because I'm popping up so often with housing information. I'm not popping up. I don't do anything about me. I'm going to tell you guys this. I don't do any newsletter about me. I don't do a bio about me. I don't do anything about me. I never have. I don't do recipes until recently. Very recently, I decided to add something in, but I'm telling you, 9 years, I cap every year. I've gotten medals and crap, and I don't send people cards. I don't send people like recipes and stuff like that. If you send people recipes, they're going to associate you with recipes. I want them to associate me with real estate. Now, now I've been doing it long enough where I'm like, man, I think they get it. They think they know I'm in real estate. So I started adding in kitschy things, recipe cards, funny cards that say, hey, happy 4th of July, stuff like that. But I'm not saying that I was extremely deliberate with this. Maybe I was a little bit broke and I couldn't afford to do all the marketing. But I will say that it worked out in my favor because I only sent real estate related stuff. And now people are like, Amy does real estate. That's all she does. I have no other identity. Sometimes it feels like. So get your database into Command. And in the next session today, we're going to talk about what I'm talking about right now is getting their address in there and then getting them on buying properties. Okay. Vince Catapano for Sacramento and for Fair Oaks, and Jessica for the Yuba office. They can help you put these people on what's called a 36 touch plan. I'll show you more about that too. But essentially, you're going to be sending them holiday posts, holiday emails. It's a whole thing. It's like they're going to get a certain amount of emails every month. They're going to get a certain amount of text messages from you. And then the only thing that you have to do is call them every quarter and say, hey, how you doing? And that's how you build a big business. Honestly, if you had 250 people in your database and you put them on some kind of automated stuff, and then all you did was call them every quarter and say, hi, how are you? You'll have a huge business. Now, all those other things you add in, like note cards and recipe cards, now all of that stuff, it's just building on that. But I just wanted to be clear that it's really about setting yourself up as the real estate expert and giving them what they want, which is real estate data. Okay, so let's talk about the lead generation model, because when we look at your data, this is like an overview of your database in picture form, I guess. But essentially, the flow of the lead generation model is you're going to get leads. You're going to get leads from everywhere. I get leads, like somebody called me the other day and left a message and said, hey, I saw your sign on a listing and I was interested in it. Give me a call. That's a lead. And then I went to a party and somebody was like, hey, Amy, I'm thinking about buying a house. I'm super excited about it. And I was like, awesome. That's a lead, right? So I put that lead, that's prospecting and marketing. Like my sign was my marketing, and me going to a party, I didn't think it was prospecting, but now everybody knows that I'm in real estate. So no matter where I go, I'm prospecting. So that's me prospecting. So then I get my lead and I said, all right, girl, here, let me get your phone number. I'm going to put it in my phone. Now my phone, if you don't have this, you can get this. Your phone, if you put the thing in your phone, it goes into your Command. You can get that. It's cool. It's like $10 a month, but you can get it. But if I don't want to do that, then I can go directly into the app. Here, I'm going to unblur myself. You guys have the Keller Williams app. You can see the red app. You can actually go in here and add contacts directly. So if you're out and about and you're like, oh, hey, let me get your number, you can just add them directly into Command. Okay. So I add my contacts into Command. Command is my database. Leads versus contacts. This is how I look at it. If I have had a two-way conversation saying, maybe they're Jenny. Hey, Jenny, it was so good to meet you at the party the other day. You mentioned something about wanting to buy a house. And she's like, oh, you know what? I thought about it and it's a no. That's a contact. I've had a two-way conversation. Even if she said no, I'm still going to add her into my contacts list. And I'm going to start talking to her because I'm going to tell you guys, a no is like a not right now. It is not a no forever. 64% of the population in the United States own their primary residence. It's not a no forever. It's a no, not right now. The majority of people own their home and are going to buy and sell real estate. So don't worry about the no right now. The no right now doesn't mean don't ever call me again, unless they say don't ever call me again. And then that means that don't ever call them. But a no just means I'm not ready right now. That's not what I want right now. Okay, cool. So then I put them into my database and I keep in contact with them because I'm also not just about making money. I kind of like having these connections that I've created. So I give them a call and say, hey, how you doing? The people that have given me the most amount of business are the people that I call and talk to that are my friends. I'm in a contract right now on my listing. It's one of my best friends. Do we see each other every day? No, I've known her forever. They sell all their homes through me. Do I have to call and lead generate with her? No, I don't call her and say, hey, do you know anybody who's looking to buy and sell? I call her and say, hey, friend, how you doing today? Hey, by the way, we're doing this thing. We're having a ice cream party. If you want to come out, okay? That's my lead generation, right? So with those people, and then I have other people that I'm like very up by the book, like I'm a professional and I'm like, hey, so good to talk to you. We have this thing happening and we want you to be there. And right? It's like every person that you talk to is going to be on a different level. That's kind of why you'll hear about other models where they'll say you've got your top 100. Pick out your top 100, which is people that you have such a good relationship with that if you called them and said, friend, I'm in a contest right now. I need somebody's phone number that wants to buy and sell real estate. Who are you thinking? And they'd be like, oh my God, hold on. Let me think about something. You know, you need a top 100. Those people are going to refer you business no matter what. And so I like that top 100 idea. But what if you had a top 300? Whew, Lord Almighty, right? What if all 250 people in your database adored you and were people that were like, I will use you no matter what? That's a commodity. You could sell that. That's actually how big teams are built too. Somebody has a business, a database that is so loyal to them that they continue to send business to them, and the person has too much business and starts a team. That happens a lot. But you have too much business, so you start bringing other people in, right? Okay, so leads. What is a lead? A lead is you meet someone at a party and they say, hey, I'm thinking about buying and selling real estate. And you're like, awesome, cool, let me get your number. And then they never talk to you again. You try to call them, so you can't get a hold of them. Leads are people that you have not had a two-way conversation of, are you going to buy and sell real estate? That's a lead. I keep those forever. I still put leads on, if I got their address, I put them to receive marketing. If I don't have their address, I assume they're a buyer and I start sending them properties. Everybody's getting marketed to. Everybody. So leads are in there. I just haven't communicated with them yet. Okay, so as soon as I do communicate with them, they become a contact, and then I'm going to move them into my cultivation. So down here, cultivate contacts for conversation. So again, the conversations that I'm having, I'm not calling them every week and saying, hey, do you know anybody looking to buy and sell real estate? I just don't, that's not how it rolls. I call them and I say, hey, how you doing? How's business? How's life? How's the kids? How's the family? What are you guys doing for fun? And I don't do it every week. It's usually once a quarter. Once a quarter, you give them a call and you say, hey, how's it going? For the people that I sold a home to, it's very easy because I just call and say, hey, how's the house I sold you? And they love me for it because they're like, you're so great that you keep following up with us on the house. I'm like, well, I mean, I sold it to you. I might as well. So then say that I go through all this, right? And let me tell you, I have so many stories of this, but database lead. I get a lead. So I'll tell you two stories. One, I get a lead. It's an internet lead. I was on a team for a little bit and we got internet leads. And this person, when I called them, told me to F off in those words, right? And I was like, oh, they're having a bad day. They didn't tell me to do not call. I swear to God, I said that out loud. I was like, well, you didn't tell me don't call you again. So I'm going to put you on a drip and I'm going to call you in a couple weeks. And so I called them and they didn't answer. And then I followed up. I don't know. I think it had been a couple months since the incident. And of course I remembered it. They did not remember it. So I called them one day and I said, hey, I just saw that you looked at this property on my website. Great house. You want to go take a look at it? And he was like, yes. Actually, yes, my significant other wants to go, right? And I was like, shocked, literally shocked, because I kind of felt like I was going to get yelled at. And I said, oh, okay, I'll meet you there. Let's go, right? And this is internet lead, so I just kind of like, I just went. I get there and I show them the house, and they're like, there's another house down the street that we want to look at too. Can we go look at that? And I looked it up and I said, yeah, it's vacant. Let's go look at it. We get to the other house and I said, you know what, guys? I got to ask, like, what happened? Because I've kind of been following up with you and sending you properties, but like, then all of a sudden you just want to look at a house with me. And they said, well, we were actually working with another realtor, but that realtor doesn't answer us as quickly as you do, doesn't follow up with us, and doesn't send us properties like you do. You sent me a property at 6 o'clock this morning. You guys, I did not send them a property at 6 o'clock, but my computer system did. And so I said, okay, cool. And they're like, we just feel like you're more hungry and you probably want the sale more. So we want to work with you. Sold them a $550,000 house. That was 5 years ago. That's a lot of money. So I say that to you, not because I'm like trying to brag. It's that sometimes you're going to get people that are a little spicy, and you got to let that roll off your back, because it's not, the no is not no forever. It's a no, not right now. Harmveer, you had a question.
You know how you said you didn't send them the property at 6 a.m.? Did you send it? Did you have that little automatic thing on command or something like that?
Automatic property alerts. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can do that on the MLS too. So in my database, I had them set up on automatic property alerts. And what happens is as soon as a property hits the MLS, which means the listing agent put it on at 6 a.m. and it hit the MLS at 6 a.m. and it hits our website and it gets automatically pushed out to the client. Okay. So, oh, go ahead.
No, nothing. I just want to clarify that so you did it through command. Like when you put their address in, you just said like send them this type of home. Or?
No, the address is for people that want to sell their home. You put their address in and then you can update them on the neighborhood, right?
Okay.
I was putting them on saved search, which is automatic property alerts, meaning that it's sending them properties that want that, like every zip code. It'll send them all the properties that are available in that zip code, or all the 3-bedroom, 2 baths that are available in this area, right? So it's a little bit different.
Through command or the MLS though? I'm confused now.
Through command.
Command, okay.
And the MLS, you can do it through both. My MLS, I pay like 600. How much do we pay for the MLS? Like $700 a year. I don't put everybody in the MLS, and not everybody gets access to that. Command is where I do all my lead generation. And then if somebody says, Amy, I'm working with you, we're going to go look at houses, we're buying a house through you, then I put them into my MLS and give them access to that. It's like kind of something that I just protect, because MLS, adding them into the MLS for automatic property alerts is easy. It's just extra work. And if you're not really good, I just am very protective of my time. So everybody in command gets property alerts through command. And then when they're ready to actually buy a house, then I will move them into my MLS and send them properties that way and give them a portal and stuff like that. Okay, so here's another one. I had a lead come through. I actually sold this person a house. So I sold them a home and I put them, so they went through all this process and they closed. They were a client with me. I closed them and then I put them back into my contacts, right? I repeated it. So I closed them and then I put them into my database so that I could continue to get referrals off of them and then check in with them, right? She never answered for me again. Like, I sold her the home. I checked in a couple weeks after I sold her the home. She said, everything's great, Amy. We're so happy. We'll send you referrals. And then she never answered me again. 2 years. I reached out to this woman and had a relationship with her voicemail, and she did not reach out to me, except one day she calls me and I didn't answer, and she sent me a text message and she said, Amy, thank you so much for following up with us this entire time. I'm so sorry I haven't been able to get a hold of you, or I haven't been able to get back to you. I've just been raising a baby and learning how to be a mom. And we are ready to sell our home. Will you come over and talk to us about listing the property? And I was like, I will never not follow up with people again. This is like, you got to keep following up with people. You're going to get ignored. You're going to get no's. You're going to feel like, okay, I'm wasting my time, but you're not. You're not. It's compounded interest. And if you guys know anything about compound effect or compounding interest, it's that everything you do stacks on top of each other, right? So like lead generation. If I call someone today, could I get them into contract today? Maybe. That would be very rare though. Very rare. So there's no pressure. When you're calling people today, because you need to be calling people every day, when you're calling people today, there is no pressure to get them to buy a house through you. There's no pressure for them to agree to refer to you. It's just, hey, by the way, I opened a real estate business. I'm super excited about it. If you happen to know anybody that's looking to buy and sell, I would love it if you would refer them to me. That's it. That's it. By the way, how are you doing? By the way, got any fun plans this weekend? The odds of them buying a home through you right now is very rare. Very rare. So let that pressure roll off your back. And that means that it's not this conversation. It's not even the next conversation. It's like the third, fourth, fifth conversation before it really turns into something where they might have somebody that they want, right? Think about it. Somebody walks up to you right now and says, hey, I own a mechanic shop. Do you know anybody that's looking to get their car fixed? And you're like, no, not right now. I'm just standing here having a good day. And they're like, oh, okay, great. Thank you. And then you go out into the world and you're like, mechanic stuff doesn't really apply to me. But then you go out into the world and you're hanging out, and then somebody's like, man, my car broke down. I'm so upset. I got to get my starter fixed. And you're like, hey, by the way, my friend has a mechanics business. Hey, let me get his number to you. Here, let me get his number. Or I can have him call you. Do you see where I'm getting at here? These phone calls are not, I'm going to get business right now. You're planting seeds. You're planting seeds. And the seeds that you plant today are going to show up for you later. So yeah, I don't ever when I have a phone call session, if I made contacts that day, like people that I actually had a really good conversation with, that's a win for me. If I got to tell them that I have a real estate business and that they should send me business, that's a huge win. If they send me a referral, that's like mind blown. And if I get a deal from them, if they're like, yeah, I'm ready, that's like astronomical. It's a whole nother level. So do you see how I'm never disappointed? I'm never disappointed with my lead gen days. And if I have to leave 18 voicemails that day, it's still a win for me, right? Because remember that chick that I left her voicemail? She bought a home through me. Not only that, but that year, okay, so she calls me. It's been like 2 years. This was the real estate gods blessing me for being so consistent. It had been 2 years of me reaching out to her. She calls me, she sells her house. 2 months later, her neighbor behind her calls me and sells her house. Like that very same time, her mom calls me to sell her house. And then their neighbor calls me to sell his house. And then he introduced me to another lady to sell her house. So I followed up for 2 years and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 10,000. Do you think it was worth it? I think about it like this sometimes too, because I've worked for $16 an hour I've worked for less, man. When I started working, I made $6.25. I've made $6.25 an hour. Okay. So I've done those jobs. This job, I might have to wait to get my paycheck, but man, when I get my paychecks, are they big? And if I stack myself up with all this momentum, when I get them, they pop, right? They pop at the same time. So that's what I mean by what you do today shows up later. So if you start phone calls today and you call and talk to 10 people and you get nothing from it, you're a success. And tomorrow you do it again and you do it again and you do it again. Success is simple. It's not easy. It's consistent. If you want abs, you got to do abs every day. I try to do abs once a week. It doesn't work. That's not how it works. You have to do it every day. Lead generation is the same thing. Now, caveat to that is you do need to take 2 days off. I'm not a slave driver. And you shouldn't be either. Don't drive yourself into the ground, y'all. It's never going to be fun. So I would say, give yourself a couple days off. So that means that if you're going to do an open house this weekend, give yourself like a Tuesday, Wednesday off, don't overload yourself. Okay, so I've talked to a lot of people about, what time is it? 1:58. Okay. I'm going to let you guys out early today, so I'm just going to roll through it. I talked to a lot of people about prospecting versus marketing, and even agents that have been in the business for a while. When we first talk about their business plans, I never hear I'm going to prospect as the first thing. This is just something that I've observed. And you're going to go through this too. Prospecting is time intensive. It's vulnerability. I mean, you're basically having to put yourself out there. I think the time intensive part is what really gets in the way for people. Is we think that if we need to call 10 people, that's going to take us 8 hours a day. It's not, guys. I used to call 150 people in 5 hours. So it's not going to take you all day. It's going to take you an hour or two. It might not even take you that long if nobody answers the phone. You could be done in 20 minutes, right? So I just want to keep that in mind. Prospecting can seem as though it's going to be very time intensive, but it doesn't have to be, as long as you have everything set up for yourself. So what does that look like? Well, if you said, tomorrow I'm going to call 10 people, and then you sit down and you're like, okay, what 10 people do I call? Okay, let me get my list together. Okay, wait, maybe I shouldn't call this person. Maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, it's going to take you longer. You're not going to like it. You're not going to get your results. But if you have all your people in your database and you pull up your database and you say, click, call, and you just call without getting through all of that, it's going to go by much faster. It won't be as time intensive. You're going to get immediate results. Immediate results is where it's at. That's what we're looking for. We want business right now. So prospecting is going to give you more immediate results than its other friend, marketing. So a lot of times people come in and I say, how do you want to get business? And they're like, I'm thinking about farming, because I've heard that agents farm and get business. Farming is a great way for you to get business. Farming is a great way for you to get business. However, it's a long-term result. It's passive. It's money intensive. So, how would farming and prospecting how would you farm and add prospecting into it? Well, that would be door knocking, right? So if you came to me and said, I'm looking to get more business, I want to start a farm. You may be thinking that that's going to take mailers and sending stuff through the mail and passive. But what I would say is bring prospecting into that, and then your farm is going to turn into immediate business. So what we like to do is whenever we're looking at our methods of prospecting, we always want, or our methods of getting our name out there in business, we want to be prospecting based, marketing enhanced. So I'm not just going out to a neighborhood and mailing to them. And I'm not just dropping flyers. And here's why. What do you guys do with your mail? People, I can already see it.
Look at it and just throw it away typically.
You look at it and you throw it away. I throw it away, like immediately. Unless it looks like a bill or something that I need to pay attention to, I don't even look at it. It's just gone, right? Now, I do that because I don't recognize anybody, nothing special to me, doesn't matter to me. I'm not going through it. That's the majority of people, right? Now, if I had met somebody, say that Parmveer came and door knocked in my neighborhood and we had a really good conversation that day and we just kind of hit it off, right? He was being cool and offering me services and it was a good day. And then I get something in the mail and it's his face. What am I going to do?
You're gonna remember?
I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop for just a second. Even if I'm like, oh, hey, here's that dude that came over. Bah. Now, what if he came over and introduced himself. He sent me that mailer. And then the next month he came over again and I saw him in the neighborhood again. I'd be like, that's Parmveer. That's that dude that came over. Hey, what's up, dude? Right? And then I get another mailer. And this time that mailer tells me what's going on in the real estate neighborhood. And I kind of take a look at it. And then maybe the next, do you see where I'm going with this? This is how you build a farm that's actually going to produce you business. I've mailed to a farm for a year and never seen anything out of it. And mailing to a farm is not cheap. If you want to mail to 150 people, it's the marketing piece plus the mail. You're going to pay about $1 a piece, $1.50 a piece or more. It's not cheap. So I think about that. I'm like, whenever I'm going about getting new business, one, I think about how am I going to get business right now, right? And am I being proactive? So I have a flyer, but am I talking to the people about the flyer or am I just leaving it on their doorstep? Leaving it on their doorstep is fine. Sometimes you just got to do it because you don't have time, but it's passive. So you shouldn't expect a large, you shouldn't expect a large return from that, right? Okay. Okay, so types of communication. There's all kinds of communication that you can use to communicate with your people. Use them all. Take advantage of all of these ways to get in front of people. Again, this is about up at bats. So the more people I can get in front of, the better. Phone calls. Phone calls are fantastic ways for you to connect with people. It's very easy for you to build rapport over the phone compared to email, text message, or a letter. Phone calls are easy for you because you don't have to travel anywhere. You already have a phone, it's cheap, right? And people can hear tone, text, tone, quality of voice. You can mirror and match better. I know that we did a coaching on mirror and matching and how important it is to build rapport. You can build rapport better. Remember that if you're smiling, they can hear it on the phone. That's just something I learned from working in call centers for a long time. They can hear you through the phone. Be smiling. Email. Email is a fantastic way to communicate with others, and you can get a lot of information out to them through email. However, it's not the end all be all, right? I actually relied on email a lot to communicate things. And I have found, I did that before with like my coaching business, and we've done that with the office, and it just doesn't work. I mean, people get so bogged down with emails. It's like, I get so many emails. So your email has to really stand out. So what I would say is that if you're going to be communicating through email or text message, or sorry, let's just stick to email. If you're going to be communicating through email, communicate with with video. So maybe it's not a diatribe they need to read. It's a video that you've emailed to them. And the other thing is make it tangible information that they would want. So I'll show you in the command what the emails look like that we send out, but there's lots of pictures. It's not a lot of reading, lots of pictures, videos. Text messages. Text messages are a great way to communicate, but you cannot build rapport through text. So at some point in time, you got to get on the phone or you got to meet in person, do something face to face. But text message is a great way for you to get information to someone. If they don't text you back, though, that's not a conversation. That's not a contact. So you got to get that reciprocal conversation going. But text is a great way to open up the conversation. Face to face, Zoom counts. So like you can have Zooms. If you haven't talked to somebody in a long time, you want to see them face to face, you don't necessarily have to meet. You can do a Zoom, but face to face is one of the best ways for you to build connection, build rapport, get into business with people. It's just makes the world go round. Your Keller Williams app on your phone, the white one with the red letters, I send that to everyone. If I got your phone number and you're a potential buyer or seller, I'm sending you my app. Hey, check out my app. It's branded to me. It looks great. And then handwritten communication. How many of you have gotten any kind of like thank you cards or anything like that? Every time I get one, I feel like so special. It's ridiculous. Something so small. Handwritten communication is a fantastic way for you to get in front of your clients. Maybe you send birthday cards or something like that. It's just a great way for you. It's just an added element to your business. Okay. So, your sphere of influence, we talked about expanding that. Let's look at, let me exit out of here, exit slideshow. Let's take a look at command. And look at how is this going to help you with what I'm talking about. Okay, so as soon as I open up my command, I have a dashboard. And you can see that on my dashboard, it tells me about my contacts. It tells me the birthdays this week and the anniversaries this week. This is great. It gives me an opportunity to right away say, oh my gosh, I'm going to call that person on their birthday. I'm going to call them, tell them happy home anniversary. Why is this? Why? People love, again, they're themselves are their favorite subject, and they love when you remember important things about them. So I have gone through and like stalked my friends and family and found their birthdays on Facebook and put them in my database. So that way I can send them a text message from my business. So every time somebody has a birthday, they get a text message from my business that says, happy birthday. Do you have any fun plans? It says from Amy Terrain at Main Street Properties. And same thing with anniversaries too. And then I call them and I'm like, hey, it's Amy. Happy birthday. How are you? And just that alone can create such a big bond between people. So right away, command can help you with establishing a relationship, even if it's only once a year, right? It will also tell you your daily tasks. So remember when I said you only got to call them 4 times a year? Okay, cool. If you can get them on the 36 touch program that the office is offering to agents, then this will automatically pop up and it will tell you who to call. And all you have to do is come in here and click the button and call. Or sorry, all you have to do is come in here and say, oh, I got to call Jasmine. Okay, calling Jasmine right now. So it can make it really easy for you. Let's go into the flyout menu here and look at contacts. And I want to talk to you about each contact. Okay, so we're going to go to my test contact so I can show you what it looks like either way. So I call Tess and I'm like, hey, Tess, how you doing? It's been a while. How's life? And they're like, oh, life is good, Amy. You know, just hanging out. I'm like, awesome. What have you guys been doing? Oh, we bought a house. Oh, that's awesome. You bought a house. When did you buy it? A year ago. That's going to happen to you. People are going to say that they bought a house last year. And you're going to be like, I just got my real estate license. I wish I would have known. Nothing you can do. But this is what you can do. You can say, that's awesome. I'm super excited for you. Do you love it? How's the house? Where'd you move to? Oh, we moved here. I'll tell you right now, if you have their name and their location, you can look up their address. You don't even need to ask them their address. You can look it up on the tax records. I've done it. So I would say, oh, that's awesome that you're living there. That's fantastic. Hey, I know you just bought your home last year, but I actually wound up opening a real estate business and I help people buy and sell real estate. It's so funny you brought that up. If you want, I've got your email here. I'll just put your address in here and I'll start updating you on your neighborhood. It's no big deal. You know, it'll just update you every month and you can go from there. But hey, like, what's your big plans with this house? You guys doing any remodeling or is it exactly what you want? See how I'm like telling them what I'm going to do? And I do that. I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this. This is going to help you. Okay. Maybe you ask them, hey, would you mind if I updated you on the value of your property monthly? It's an automated thing. I don't have to go to too much trouble. Yeah, sure, you can do that. Okay, great. Let me get your address. So in here, if I click this little pencil, this is where all their contact information is, and I can update or add more information. And in their additional contact information down here, I can add in their address. So once I add in their address and hit save, the artificial intelligence for command updates this neighborhood location. Okay, automatically updates it. Now nothing happens from there. That doesn't do anything at all. Just updates the neighborhood, puts it in there for you. Then what I would do is come in here to smart plans, and I would add them to the monthly neighborhood nurture. Every month, they're going to receive an email that looks like this. And this shows them their neighborhood, average price, home price, average price per square foot, average days on market. What do the locals say? Is it walkable? Properties for sale in the neighborhood. What's some other stuff? If they want to find out how far it would be to commute somewhere. Local schools. Cool. Nearby neighborhoods. Every month they get this. And you'll actually be able to see where they open it and look at the neighborhood. And you can watch the progression from your clients of like not looking at it, and then all of a sudden they're looking at it, right? So that's for sellers. That's for people that own their property. You put their address into here, and then you put them on what's called a monthly neighborhood nurture. Okay, so say that I call Test and they're like, oh my gosh, Amy, I would love to buy a house. I'm not there yet, but I would love to buy a house. And I say, okay, great. Let's talk about that. Where would you buy if you could? Well, I would probably just want to live where I live. I'm in Rancho right now and I really like it. Awesome. Here's what I'll do. I'll send you properties that are in Rancho. You don't have to buy anything. I mean, if you see something you like, let's talk about it. If you never see anything and you never buy, that's fine. You can just look at pretty houses. And if you ever decide that you want to like live somewhere else that's out in the United States, I can send you that too. So then I say, all right, I'm going to create a saved search for them. So I'm going to come in here and click on saved search. So I click on saved search up here, and then I click create saved search. And in here, I can select neighborhood, city zip code, school attendance zone, or I can go custom. I prefer custom because then I can pick a big area. You can only do one. So you can't do custom and then also add a zip code. If they want to look in 3 different zip codes, you have to add in 3 different zip codes, 3 different searches. So here's what I like to do. I like custom, and that's where you draw it on a map. So then I say, oh, you're looking in Natomas. Okay, well, Natomas actually goes from, oh, let me do this. Natomas goes from here all the way to here, and it's 3 different zip codes. So I got to get really creative with my drawing skills. So I'm going to go here to down here, all the way over here. There's a little bit over here. Okay. And then I'm going to hit apply. And then I can put in here, I think their max is going to be 750. I think they're going to want properties that are just houses. I think they're going to want for sales and coming soons. Let's say 3 bedrooms. We want 2 baths. Okay. And then I hit next. And then right here, I can put homes for test. Once I've labeled it, then I can say, okay, I want to send them email notifications every time a house that fits this criteria. First, they're going to get an email with all of the homes available. And then after that, every time a new house that matches this criteria hits the market, they're going to get an email from you too. So you're going to be the first one alerting them when properties become available. When buyers say, my agent never sent me properties, I had to find the properties myself, it blows my mind, because you can do this in almost every single, this is a very easy thing to do. So everybody that wants to buy a house, put them on this, put them on it instantly. So it's not a daily summary. They want to get them as soon as the property hits the market. Like, they don't think they want that, but if a property hit the market this morning and you sent it to them this evening and that property goes pending by tomorrow, you're to blame. That's who they're going to think. They're going to be like, oh, my agent lost that property for me. So do it instantly. Then you hit the create save search and it's going to pop up right here. I'm going to delete these because I'm getting too many emails. It's annoying. Okay. Any questions about this?
You'd only put somebody on instant if they're like an eager buyer, but wouldn't you put someone on like the monthly one if they're like kind of just looking?
Nope. Always instant. Always. Because even if they're just looking, if you send them a property that's 3 weeks old or a week old, and see, the thing about buyers is they're fickle. And someone will say, I'm not ready for 3 weeks. And then a property will hit the market and all of a sudden they're buying a house today. It'll happen. So I always put it on instantly. So that way they get it right away.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you put it on monthly, then what's going to happen is they're just going to get a bunch of properties. They're going to get all the properties for the entire month in one email. It's almost better to send them an email every time a property becomes available.
So this will just send them an email every day or every time a property becomes available?
Every time a property becomes available. If
Okay.
3 properties became available in the last 30 minutes, all 3 of them will get sent out.
But do they like resend, like say like, I don't know, like every month will they resend the same properties or not?
No.
Only?
Nope.
Okay.
Just the new ones.
Is there a way where you could just send them like a monthly update, like say like or like a weekly update of like what's listed in your area or not?
Yeah, it's right here. That's what this monthly neighborhood nurture is.
Okay.
That's for sellers. That's for people that own a home and want an update on their neighborhood. If you have somebody that wants to buy a home, they want to receive properties as soon as they hit the market.
Okay.
And if they come back to you and say, hey, I'm getting too much, then you can say, oh, okay, let me make it a weekly update or a monthly update. But they'll tell you. But I never really get that. Most people are like, thank you for sending me the properties.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys, what else? Any other questions about command or anything else we've talked about today?
I haven't. Did you ever go door knocking or no?
Oh, yeah, I've been door knocking.
So like you just go and just knock on the door and leave a flyer and then come back and talk to them, or every time you door knock you have a conversation with the person?
If they answer the door, I try to have a conversation with them right then and there.
Okay.
I've door knocked for a multitude of reasons. I don't always have a flyer. Sometimes I just door knock and I say, hi, my name's Amy. I'm a local real estate expert. I help a lot of people buy and sell homes, and I'm just in the neighborhood today to see if there's anybody that needs help with their home. And then usually they're like, yes, no, maybe so. And I'm like, how long have you lived here? And then I kind of just up that conversation a little bit. And then I say, well, my name's Amy. You know, I'm not just, I deal with housing. So like, if you need help with housing, I can help you with that. If you need a contractor or a photographer, I mean, heck, if you need a lawyer, like I'm just kind of a connector. I connect people. So, hey, let me take your contact information. I'll keep you in my database. And if anything ever comes up that I think is noteworthy, I'll give you a call. And people are like, yeah, sure, here. Like all the time. And I just think it's kind of funny. And then I call them back and I'm like, hey, it's Amy. And I'm just calling to give you an update on the neighborhood and how's life? You know, sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't.
Are people, because I'm not very receptive to people coming to my door
Mhm.
because they've been like one time, because it was a scam one time. So I'm reluctant to give my number out to people that come to my door. So I'm wondering, like if I go to door, how receptive so that's
Yeah.
interesting that you say that, because I just feel like people might not be too receptive when you knock on their door, because I'm not. I'm not very receptive. In fact, now I feel bad, but because I'm not.
Yeah, then don't go door knocking. So like I am, if people come to my door, I'm like, hey, what's up? So door knocking doesn't bother me, and I've gotten business from it before. And there's people that have very big businesses from door knocking. So
But that's what I've heard, that when you door knock, that you do because you generate the conversations, and I might be able to, because I want to try that.
oh
And
yeah.
do it especially because there's I know that where I live, there's people that want to sell their homes.
Yeah.
So I want to introduce myself, but I'm still a little.
Well, see, you shouldn't even be worried about that. Those are your neighbors. I walked in, knocked on every single door around my house and said, hi, I'm your new neighbor. And not one, everybody was like, oh my God, we love you. No one does this anymore. Are you kidding? And I was like, yeah, I'm the kind of neighbor that if you need a cup of sugar, or you need eggs, or you need help, or you need to watch your house, or you need me to water your plants, I want to be that person to you. So I live right there, and here's my card, and you can call me anytime. And they were like, oh my God, like other people were talking about me in the neighborhood, because they're like, we just never see it anymore. And I didn't tell them I'm in real estate, I want to help you buy and sell real estate. I said, I'm your neighbor. I want you to know me, and I know you, and I'm right there, and you can come over anytime. And then I gave them my business card. I handed them my business card. I said, here you go. And then I took cookies around. So then I took cookies around all my neighbors. And I just try to be that pleasant person that's in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? I got motorcycles and big dogs and kids that I yell at. So I'm like trying to get on the good graces with everybody. But it works. So I would say you have a very good advantage. And if you guys are going to try door knocking, start with your neighbors. It's easy. All right. Any other questions for me?
No, Amy, I'm going to give you a call later on. I'm doing my first open house on Saturday.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, let's talk about it. Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Amy.